Let me introduce myself. My name is Jane Mendenhall. I am a Virginia farmer's wife, and my Virginia farmer also is a joiner. So that means he makes furniture, which means I have some really nice furniture in my house, which is a bonus when you have to live with my husband. But our land is very nice. I shouldn't call it small, because it's not really small, but if you look at some of the other places that you see, like Mount Vernon and Monticello, which aren't too far away from us if I travel really fast for a day, they're very large. Ours is nowhere near that size. But I'm very proud of our property. So is my husband. We got it from his father when we were married. Now our land is good enough that we can support our family, no problems, all winter long. And I'm very happy with that because it makes my life a little bit easier, one less worry. But I can also put up enough that I can take care of our family, other family members as well, or a neighbor if something should go wrong. Especially now that we are at war, you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Now, along with this property comes an understanding that the firstborn of you, especially male, will be named Richard. My husband is Richard. His father is Richard. His father, and so on and so forth back. But I am happy to say I am the first Jane to break the line of Annes that married in. Anyway, now my oldest son absolutely loves to farm the land. He is so happy. There are times I have to yell at the door. I don't know how many times it is. Time for food. Please come in the house. It's getting late. Would you please come in? He loves to be out there. But I have noticed recently that he's starting to look west towards the mountains, which aren't very far from our place. He's looking more and more west. And I blame my brother because he's a long hunter. And at this point, my brother is going out and coming back on occasion, every couple of years, extolling all the beautiful land of Kentucky and the Ohio and the Tennessee, of the buffalo that run for days and you can't do anything and it sounds like the earth is cracking in half, or the passenger pigeons that fly in the sky for days on end and you can't do anything because you can't see. So I believe eventually I will lose my son to those mountains, both literally and figuratively. Because I don't know if he will survive out there. I hope he's smart enough to, but you never know. And I'm not out there to make sure he's okay. But what makes me very angry about that is not the fact that he wants to leave. It is every child's right to want to go and leave home and start something new. But the fact that I know too many good men who died for that land. And the king, who is not even here, is telling us we don't have a right to it. But he wanted us to fight for it. But now we can't live on it. We can't work it. I get very angry because too many men died. Too many men came back hurt for us not to be allowed to do that. On top of not being allowed to expand, they're raising our taxes and expecting us to pay more with less. I have less land, but they want more out of me. My husband has less trees to work on his joinery business, but we want more money out of you. So how are we supposed to do that if we can't expand? Now let's talk taxes, because they're taxing my sugar. And I need sugar every once in a while, not just for the preserving that I do, the hams, the jams, the pickles. I want it in my tea every so often. It's a slight luxury, so is my chocolate. I can always tell when my husband has done something because he comes in with a bar of chocolate like, honey, this is for you, what did you do? What did you do that I don't know about yet? Or if I do know about it, I might talk to him now. But they're taxing my sugar now. And my tea. If I want to write a letter, I'm taxed on that paper. If I want to buy a newspaper, I am taxed twice because I'm paying for the paper and the fact that it is now a printed paper. But how am I just being told that we have to pay for a war we didn't ask for to begin with. But now because we are good children, we'll pay for it. Now I'm an adult. Well, over 20. We won't go exactly how old. But well over 20. I don't need to be treated like a child. And if you're going to treat me like a child, then I expect you to be not that far away to give me that look that still makes me go, yes, sir, to my father. But the king doesn't. I'm not even sure the king knows how to write, to be honest. He's that lazy. Of course, if you can't tell, I am not a loyalist. Sorry. But you're taxing me on all these things. If you go out to one of the other rooms, there is a very nice lady who does handmade soaps. She is taxed on the product that she needs to make her soap. Another lady who does spinning is taxed on the thing she needs to spin. So we're all being taxed on every level, bless you. But my husband, because we do have land, is part of the local government. Granted, we don't have a lot of land, but it's still land. So he gets a say in it. Not too long ago, God loves the man, comes in, maybe more than slightly drunk, not exactly sure, comes in and goes, guess what, honey? And I'm like, oh no, what did you do now? He's like, no, guess what? We're boycotting goods from Great Britain. I think you had a little too much of Mr. Gibson's whiskey. Go to bed. So he goes to bed. The next morning I get up and go, honey, I'm not so sure you know what you're talking about. What is this boycott? He goes, oh, it'll be fantastic. We talked about it for hours. And I'm like, okay, that's great. What are we doing with this? He goes, we're no longer buying British goods, but I don't want you to change anything. What? Okay, now maybe I've had too much tea to drink this morning. What exactly do you mean? He's like, we're not buying anything British, but I still need that new jacket that I asked for. Because I am a man of standing, my jacket's starting to look a little ratty, and I would like it in red. Okay. And the kid's birthday's coming up. Can you still make the cake? Where am I supposed to get the sugar? So now that we're boycotting things, I'm talking to the ladies because it's wash day. Wash day is not about gossip. It's where we share information. And when I showed up down at the river, half of the ladies weren't sure if their husbands were sober or not either. And they were asking me, are you sure we're boycotting? I said, unfortunately, yes. Are we going to let it happen? And we had our own house of Burgess, so to speak, down at the river, forgetting our laundry, which is okay by me, not a favorite chore. And we had a conversation of, are we going to let this happen? Are we going to let this stand? I fully agree and support that we need to do something about the British because they are doing way too much, and I'm tired of them. I mean, if the British Army came through today, I would be expected to feed and house them whether I wanted to or not. That is not fair. I should have the right to say yes or no. But I don't. But how are we supposed to do our everyday work on top of finding ways to do what we're supposed to with less? So it was a good long talk during the day, and we decided, let's give it a shot. Because see, as much as the men want to sit there and pat themselves on the back and clink drinks and go, oh, look what we did. We're standing up against the British government. If we don't want the boycott to work, it's not working. Because I get to decide what is coming into the house. Yes, technically he is, but I'm the one doing the buying, and I'm doing the selling, and I'm doing all of that stuff. So it's really up to me. It's up to us women of this community, because if I don't have sugar, how am I supposed to make bacon? How am I going to make my hams? Let alone my pickles or my jams. Because I need to use all of that to preserve my food for this coming winter. So what am I supposed to do at that point? Now let's talk about my husband's new coat. I've been asking him for months if he needed a new coat. His coat looks like it's more patches than it is coat. He finally decides he wants it now, and I don't weave. I was attempted to be taught once, and the poor person teaching me looked at me and goes, I don't know what you did, but the whole loom is in a giant knot now. Go away. So I don't do that. But if I did, I have to grow my own flax because he wants it in linen, not wool, which would be easier, but we have to do linen. So I have to grow it. I have to harvest it. Then I have to let it dry. Then I have to red it. Then I have to pound it. I have to then card it. I have to spin it. I have to dye it. I have to weave it. I have to cut it. I have to sew it back together and make him a coat. I don't have time. I have the garden to tend to because it's spring, so I'm having to start getting that ready now. I'm going to be butchering some animals, getting other animals ready to breed in order to butcher in the fall. I have my kids to take care of. I have other foods to put up. I have. When am I supposed to fit this in? Better yet, when am I supposed to sleep? See, he doesn't understand that. Now, granted, I will probably go out to, say, Townsend or Sampson's and go, I will buy off of you so I don't have to. But they are being taxed as well. So I don't know if they will have the supplies. So I may have to go to somebody like Stonehouse History and see if she is going to be doing any type of fabric on top of all the tapes that she does. Because I can't do it. And this is how it's going to work for us ladies in this community. We're going to have to do, I can do this, you can do this, let's swap. Because we don't have the time. Which then makes me wonder, we're starting a new government. What does that mean? How is it going to be different than what we already have? Because see, right now, I am not a person. I am the property of my husband. And before I got married, I was the property of my father. And if my father had died, I was the property of my oldest male relative, which would have been my brother, even though he is younger than me. So I have no rights. So how is it going to be different for me? Because I would like to be my own person. I am perfectly capable of making out my own contracts and selling things on my own because I do it all the time as a wife and a mother and a person. So how is this going to be different? I would like my daughters, God love them, who are very much like me, because none of us are meek and obedient, obviously. I would like them to decide if they want to be married or not. I don't want it to be a necessity, because we need protected. I want them to decide this for themselves. If they want to own their own tavern, I would love for them to be able to own their own tavern, or whatever business they would come up with. But right now, they can't. So how is it going to be different? How is our new government going to be different than what we have? Who's going to get to vote? How are we going to choose who gets to vote? How long are they going to stay in power? Or are we going to put somebody new in power? I mean, General Washington just took over the army. Is he going to end up being the person in power for how long? Is he going to be a good leader, or are we going to go right back into what we already had? So that if we're going to go right to what we had, why are we doing this? And I would like to know these answers. Better yet, I am hearing men at muster day and the preachers up in the pulpits yelling, well, we are living in slavery to the king. Oh, really? Because if we are enslaved, then what about the Negroes out in the field? Then they are just as good as we are, and why are they staying enslaved? Are they going to stay slaves? Or when we become free, if that's what we end up being, because we don't know what's happening yet, are they going to be free too? They're people. They're going through the same things we are. What happens to them? So I would like to know how this government is going to be different. Before I send my husband off to die, my sons to follow, my father and my brothers. I want to know how it's going to be different, because if I'm going to lose it, I want it to be worth something. I remember the last war, when we fought the French. My father decided he was going to go fight because he was a firm believer of, I need to, one, protect my family, but I need to protect those who can't protect themselves. And if someday I can't protect my family, I want someone else to be able to protect them, because I did it too. So he went. Now, my father is a very jovial man, very happy man. He got lucky and married a Quaker woman. My father is Irish, which is a religion within itself. But he put up with a lot as I was growing up. He ate many a burnt pie as I was learning to cook. He was okay with that, or at least he said so to my face. He was always so kind. He always laughed, but then he came home. He hadn't been gone long. He was under Braddock in Washington, so he's a big fan of George Washington. Don't talk any bad about him. But when my father came home, he wasn't the same. He didn't laugh. Instead, at night, I heard him screaming names and things I couldn't hear, and I didn't know how to help. But my dad was gone. My mom would wake up in tears, and I would see her in the kitchen wiping her eyes, going, don't say anything. You didn't hear anything last night. Just don't say anything. And he tried so hard, and he keeps trying, and there are days that it's fine, and it's almost like old dad is back. But it's not. Mr. Williams down the road came back just like my dad did, only he couldn't handle it as well. And you probably will never see him out of his cups. It got so bad, him drinking and beating his family, that this city came in and separated them and said, you still need to maintain her and your children because they're still your responsibility, but they are not safe with you. So they're going to live off on their own now. See, I can handle better my husband dying. I can handle better my husband losing a limb, because we can figure out how to modify our house, how to help him in the fields and all of this if he's missing an arm, a leg. We can make it work. But it's the demons that he comes back with I'm most scared of. Because they're quiet, and I don't know how he's going to act with them. Because he's a very kind man, that's why I married him, because he reminded me so much of my father. But is he going to change when he comes back and I no longer know him? The worst that happens is he dies. Now, I threatened him that enough myself, with a hunting accident in the kitchen, on occasion. But the worst I have to do is find a new husband, and start all over again, and hope I find a good husband like I found the first time. And then I'm not walking into something worse. Because I am not landed enough, and my children are not old enough that I can do it on my own. So I need this war to work. My husband already is not speaking to his father on most days. I get to hear about it every Sunday after church. Because my father-in-law is a loyalist. And every Sunday he is reminding my husband why he should still be supporting the king. And then I get to listen to my husband explain to his father why he should not be supporting the king. And then there's an argument that ensues, and we all go home angry on church. One day a week. I would just want one day a week. But I am watching families split. How bad are these families going to split? I'm already watching families leave in wagons with what goods they can carry because they don't agree with us wanting to separate from England. So is this war going to be worth it? I watched my best friend leave. She cried because we could no longer talk because our husband said no. We had no choice. I got to watch her leave. So is this going to be worth it? I don't know. Hopefully, we'll find out someday. As much as my husband says it's not going to last that long, a couple of weeks the king will get bored, we'll move on, everything will go back to the way it is, and we won't have to worry about any of this. In here, I know he's wrong. In here, I know we're in for very long war, bloody years, and I hope we all make it through. Do you have any questions for Jane Mendenhall? You can ask me questions. It's only March 22nd of 1776. Surely you have questions. No? Yes?
Does your farm have slaves?
No. My family, since we are of Quaker upbringing and Irish upbringing, we are very much abolitionists. We do not agree with slavery. Yes?
You stated people were leaving.
Yes.
Were they going to Canada or where were they going?
I am not sure where they're headed. Most likely they're headed up to Boston, Philadelphia, and New York. Any other questions? As Jane. Okay, so the second person you get to meet today is me. I am Laura Supinger. I am an 18th century women's historian and food historian. So do you have any questions as the modern me about anything of the 18th century or the Revolution? We have plenty of time. I cut it a little short. Yes?
You were a food historian?
Yes.
So, as your other person, what would you cook and like how would you make a meal?
For this time frame?
Yeah.
It would depend on my favorite answer is depends on where I am in society. Since I'm middle class, it would depend on my day. If it's just a normal day with the normal work and I'm not, running around super crazy, I would probably do something like lunch would be a roast piece of meat because I can just throw it on the fire and walk away, come back a couple hours later, turn it, throw a couple more logs on, go on and do something else, throw in some type of vegetable and maybe a dessert. And I base that off of an original document I have from Kentucky in about 1780. When a family was kidnapped by natives, on the table was a roast of bear, new peas, new potatoes, and a vinegar pie and sweet cream. And that was just for lunch. So that's what I'm basing that idea off of. Soups and stews are always popular because, again, throw it in the pot, you walk away. Especially on the really busy days like laundry day, gardening, that kind of bit. When I'm doing other things, those were always very easy. That would be a quick, fast, easy lunch. Well, easy because I do it all the time. Not necessarily easy for everybody, but for me it's easy. Any other questions? All the way back.
Compared to today's standards, what was the, say, diabetes rate with all the
We do not know.
cancers and things like that?
Cancer we know happened, but they did not necessarily document it. And just because we know now this was cancer does not mean we knew it was at that time. With diabetes, it wasn't really until late 1700s, early 1800s they started understanding it. in the aspect of, we know you have it, this is how we know you have it, you'll be dead in 2 years, if you're lucky. At that point, they're starting to kind of understand you need to cut out the sweets and you need to cut out the potatoes and that kind of bit, but they don't understand there's no way to fix it like we have insulin today that helps regulate it. As for cancers, they were starting to understand cancers. Wasting disease is a cancer. What cancer? We don't know, we just know you're wasting away. Was a big kind of catch-all when they didn't know what was happening. Breast cancer was just starting to be understood, of the fact that you found something, this is probably what it is. This is how we fix it. It didn't get really written down, and sometimes we don't know what it means. I'm researching some things, and I'm starting to believe that when, the whole joke, oh, I've got the vapors, it was actually menopause in women, is what I'm starting to believe. I'm sure someone medically can sit here and go, oh, no, that's not correct. Well, okay, fine, but this is what I'm believing, because a lot of what they talk about the vapors being are menopausal symptoms. Hot flashes. I have the vapors, so yeah. Medical stuff is a little bit tricky because a lot of terms like dropsy was a lot of things that they just didn't know, and they all put it underneath one. That's the best answer I can give you.
Alcoholism? Sorry.
They did not understand alcoholism. When you're looking at an average person who's drinking 17 gallons of some alcoholic beverage in a year, alcoholism wasn't necessarily understood. Like in Jane's story, yes, someone was drinking to excess. That's all they knew. They didn't understand why. What caused him to.
Can I interject for a minute?
Sure.
You have to understand, back then they didn't have all the filtering systems that we have with our water today.
Actually, no. Water was drunk more than alcohol. Because the reason beer got popular, have you ever, Guinness, how dark it is, you can stand a spoon up in it? Well, during the Great Depression, it was billed as a meal in a cup. And that's about right. And that's why you see a lot more people drinking something called small beer. It has very little alcohol in it. Because if they didn't have a lot of money, that's a meal in a cup. And if you're a farmer out in your field, you have lunch in a cup, you down it, and you keep moving. But water was actually drank more than that. But alcoholism it didn't have the term alcoholism, it was just you drank to excess. And not everybody knows, because you're already drinking enough alcohol as is, you build up a bit of a tolerance.
Well, didn't Queen Mary of England have cancer?
Yes.
She thought she was pregnant, and instead of being pregnant, she had a
Uterine cancer.
Yeah, uterine cancer. So they were kept waiting for her to deliver this child, and it wasn't a child, it was a cancer.
Any other questions? Yes.
The sweetener?
Yes.
How did they incorporate maple syrup, which was very common, that could have been used, and then it might have been, I'm not sure how often it would have been collected, but honey.
They would have tried to use it as much as they possibly could. They would have played with it. They would have already known how to swap it in and out, because they are so regular. As you move farther west and you have less and less sugar, you're going to see the honey being mixed in. So unlike me, who is a stupid modern person sometimes, I'm not going to know the amount of ratio to swap honey in for sugar, but they would have thought nothing of it and swapped the two out very easily. I saw a hand back here, yes?
What was your hardest daily chore?
Getting up. Sometimes I really do. Sometimes I think getting up. I think it depended on the person. On a bad day for me, it's collecting water. My two chores I hate the most as me doing 18th century is firewood collecting and collecting water. I don't know why. I hate both jobs, and they're the job I have to do the most. I think that's why. But everybody had it. Let's look today. Everybody has a job that they absolutely hate. And I think that's where that is. Everybody probably had a chore that they hated the most to do. It's hard to say whose was mine, but those are mine. Water and wood. So if you're ever in my space and go, oh, I ate here, how can I pay you back? Go give me firewood. Don't question, go give me a couple of logs. I will be the happiest person ever. Any other questions? No, if you ever see my father, ask him. He knows I hate to collect firewood. Yes?
I just had a question back on the food. What's vinegar pie?
So I'm going to use a 1930s, 40s reference because this is all I have to go off of. It is your pie crust, and then it's water and vinegar and sugar, a little bit of flour and sometimes butter. You mix that together in the pie shell and you bake it, and it actually will solidify. And it comes out with the weirdest taste. It's not bad, but I haven't decided if I like it enough yet. But in the 18th century, they have so many more vinegars than we do now. So I have sugar vinegar, I have violet vinegar, I have tarragon vinegar, I have rose vinegar. I have 100 vinegars I can go through. And now I'm going, I need to learn how to make vinegar, and now I need to make this pie again. That's the best answer I've got. That is 1780 is the earliest reference, which made the Southern girl in me go, yay! Because I know what that is. Any other questions? Yes.
What are, you say you're a food historian?
Yes.
And women's history. What kind of sources do you consult for your information?
I usually start with a secondary source when I'm just trying to find out what a name is necessarily. So I have Colonial, I think it's called Colonial Women in South Carolina, a book like that, Women's Lives and Women's Voices. I go to that and for the laws and things like that. And then my new thing I like to do is I dig through the archives and I read the original journals. I have 3 from Ireland that I'm currently picking through, and a couple from Wales that I'm picking through just because I can. Hannah Drinker, I think, or is it Elizabeth Drinker? I always get her and somebody else mixed up. I'm reading her. Some of the journals I will warn you get kind of boring. I had tea today. Congrats. So I'm trying to read the journals. I'm digging through the Draper papers out in Wisconsin because it's people who lived on the frontier during the 18th century. They're remembering what their life was like. So I'm digging through those. Because we have so little on women, like the Draper papers, most of it is from the male perspective. I'm still digging through it because what they're seeing is most likely what I'm seeing as a woman as well. A little bit different. But if they're talking about a station being attacked, well, I'm at that station surviving the same attack. I'm taking his perspective and trying to put it on what it's going to be like for her. That's what I'm digging through right now. Any other questions? Because there's a lot in this century. Come on, we still have 10 minutes. Yes?
Did you have any formal education at all?
I have a master's degree.
No, I mean, then.
Oh, as Jane!
Yeah.
Yes! As Jane, I would have a formal education to the point that my mother was Quaker and Quakers believed everybody deserved an education. And because my father is Irish, I would also have an education because he would want me to be better. He would want me to do better. And he doesn't care that I'm female, he wants me to have an education. So I would do the reading, writing, and arithmetic. And because I am middle class, I would have a little bit more. Might not learn French or Latin or geometry or anything like that, but I'm going to have more than just the basics. And because of that, I would more than likely be in charge of my husband's accounts as well, because I could do that. I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but I would most likely be the one doing it because I'm already the one handling the money. Because I'm buying the things, I'm selling the things, and all of that. Any other questions? We still have about 10, 15-ish minutes. Because I cut it a little short.
Could you share the story from yesterday about putting out the fire using buckets of milk and stuff?
Oh, yes, I can do that. So one of my favorite stories is out here, no, we're in Michigan, yeah. I've got to remember where I am. So down in Kentucky, there was a station that all the guys, the Indians haven't been around, they haven't attacked the station for a while. We're running low on supplies and meat. We're going to go out hunting. So the guys leave. So all the women are at the station doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing. And they get word that a contingent of natives are coming because they heard that the guys aren't there. So they're going to wipe out the station, do what they want with the women, which is most likely take them captives, take them further west into Ohio, most likely up to Detroit. So they start heading this direction, and the women have the right, and they have a bit of a panic. And then they get together and go, what are we going to do? So they fill every vessel in that station that they could find with water. They get all their chickens, they get all of their livestock in, they get the kids in, and they slam the doors down. The natives show up. Well, it's only women, what can they possibly do, right? So they start shooting the roofs with arrows that are burning. Well, the women, as they're because the women are firing at the natives as well. Other women are putting out the fire. They run out of water. So the next thing that they have is milk. They run out of milk. And my favorite part is when they run out of milk, they start taking the chicken eggs and lobbing them up at the roofs. And they put them out. Now I'm standing there going, wow, because I can't hit the broadside of a barn. But they're putting it out, and then I'm going, ew, the smell. But the natives gave up. 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks they lasted. And then somebody got out, went running to the guys going, you gotta come back and go, why? The ladies had it all taken care of, and the women are like, we're done. So yeah, it's a news story I just found, and I have documented it through the Draper Papers. It is probably one of the coolest things I've ever found. So I always carry extra eggs just because if I want to lob them at somebody, I can. You'll get lucky, you'll be missed, but that's not the point. Any other questions? Yes?
You mentioned that, you just said the Draper Papers.
Yes.
My wife's maiden name is Draper.
Cool. Well, it's probably her fault I'm doing this. No, I'm joking.
That's, well, maybe your brother is, okay. What do you mean by the Draper Papers?
Okay, so I believe his name was Lyman Draper. He was a minister early 1800s and was absolutely positively fascinated with frontier history. That means anything west of the Appalachians. And he wanted to collect, because people were still alive who survived this, but were starting to die off at this point. He wanted to collect as much information as he possibly could on these people. And he was sending out letters and going everywhere and collecting it. So if you ever go to the Wisconsin National, I can't remember all of it, but it's like stacks of paper and letters and journals. And they've put it up on microfiche, and I'm trying to get through the microfiche. But it's a first-person, first-hand account of everything west of the Appalachians. So you've got everyday people, you've got women writing in, you've got stories of Boone that you probably haven't heard before. You find out more about Simon Kenton. You hear stories of, there's a woman who was helping fix something. I'm not sure what she was doing, but she's standing up on a chair. Chair is a ladder back. Do you guys know what a ladder back chair is? Okay. She slips, she falls. The spoke of the ladder back starts here and comes out here. And they're standing there going, how do we fix this? So they cut the ladder back, they cut off the arm of the chair, and they push it out. And she survived. And they said the only way they could figure is she happened to go between the ribs and the skin, and that's why. And then you have another story of a lady who lost her whole entire family to an attack. She gets back. She walks her way back. Well, she just can't stand society. She can't stand people. She can't do anything. So the fort helps her build this little grass hut outside. And no one bothers her. The station is attacked. No one goes near this hut. They write back east to her one son that survived from her first marriage, going, you need to come get mom. Something is wrong. So he goes all the way out to Kentucky, picks mom up, writes them back a year later going, oh, mom's fine. She just hated Kentucky. My favorite story, and everyone goes, oh, but everybody died young. Actually, no. I'm finding more and more references, especially of women, because we just outlived the men. Shock. Living to 70, 80, 90 odd years old. But there's a story of this one guy in Kentucky, was very cocky. I've lived here 10, 15 years, and I haven't been shot yet. No Indian's ever going to get me. Famous, literal, last words. Next Sunday, someone comes up to, I can't remember the lady's name, she's about 65. So-and-so was killed last week. Guess he won't do that again, will he? And left. And I'm like, I like her. So the Draper Papers are fun for little things like that. Something I'm currently doing with them is, as the women's historian, I'm tired of us not having a name. And I have been told multiple times by people when I'm in some of these stations doing the frontier aspect of life, women weren't out here. And I sit here going, okay, well, or at least you didn't walk out here. What do we do, flying on a unicorn? But I'm sitting here going, how do you think the guy survived? There are so many stories of women going, I hear something outside. Oh, you're just hearing things, go to sleep. I hear something outside. She goes, shuts the door, bars it, and goes back to bed. And the guy complains that it's 90 odd degrees out at night. Can we open the door? No. The next morning they wake up to find Indian signs all around the house. And the only reason they weren't attacked overnight was because the door was shut. Too much work. The Indians wanted in and out, quick, fast, and quiet. And if your door was shut, it was none of the three. Now, I have a friend who does soap making. And so I'm finding references to soap making things. There's a story of a native thinking he's going to get an easy prisoner, sneaks up behind a lady making soap, and instead she scalds him to death in the soap pot. So yes, we were out here. There's a very famous line that I've heard several times, and it's great. In Kentucky, the women were able to tell a man's constitution by just looking at him, and if they deemed that you were a coward, you wouldn't get anything done. And that happened quite often. They didn't like you and they thought that you were a coward. You're not getting fed, your clothes aren't being washed, you're not getting anything patched, good luck. And there were times guys had to leave because of it. Draper papers, fun stuff. Anything else? We still have plenty of time. Or I keep saying that until he tells me to shut up.
Has there been any talk about publishing these Draper papers in like book format?
No, I keep asking. I think it's because they have so much, it's not really able to be done, and it's a good revenue source because of people like us. But if you want a quick conglomeration of them, if you can find them somewhere, pick anything up from Dale Payne, because he actually went through and collected them and then put them together in book form. Frontier Memories 1 through 3, Virginia Warfare 1 through 3, I think as well, are all from the Draper papers. And mine are falling apart currently because I keep going back. Yes?
Did any of the Drapers, I mean, it's move out west, way out west, California area?
I have no idea because they're not my family line. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to assume probably because that's how we work as Americans.
Well, everybody went from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Country kind of thing, so. Yeah.
My family kind of stopped at Mississippi and went, we're done, thank you.
The repository for the Draper papers, where are they located?
In Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Historical Society, I believe it is. One of their libraries up there has it. I have written them several times of, do you have stuff on this person, this person, this person? They've gone, yes, we have pages, here are the pages. They will happily make copies and ship it to you. It's about $15 for 15 to 30 pages. I can't remember exactly, but they will make the copies for you and send them to you. I'm waiting on like 3 shipments right now.
Can you digitalize them at all?
I don't know because I don't have them yet. I don't know if I have the rights. Sometimes they own the rights and you can't. So I have no idea yet. They said all that paperwork will be in there when I buy it, or get it. So I have no idea. Yes?
Other than a wife and a mother, what were the main occupations for women at that time?
Everything. Because we live in a man's world, sorry, we don't necessarily get the acknowledgement that, I like to say, as the daughter, I have my father's occupation. As the wife, I can do my husband's to a certain extent. About the only thing we didn't tell anybody we did it. We did military was usually not something we did, and then government was something we weren't allowed to do. But if you look back at all the documentation, you have to look exactly what the title of the book is, and if you want it, I can get it for you. It lists everything that a woman did, and it was pretty much any job a man did, a woman did as well, in some form or fashion. Once the war starts, it becomes more so, because the men are gone, we have to keep it going, we are keeping the country moving. So we did everything. We were farmers, everything. So yeah, every job, we had every job. On top of, that's why I'm saying with the boycotts, we are deciding the boycotts work because I have this many jobs, now you're adding this many more to it because I have to now figure out how to get the things that we're not allowed to have.
Which was what, like a good example?
We didn't have sugar, fabric, it was a sign of loyalty to the new colonies that we were not buying fabric, so there were no silks, no linens, and if you were wearing homespun, oh, you were the great person. I will buy homespun off of you, but I am not making it. The story of everything getting knotted is true. As Laura Supinger, the historian, I have knotted everything together going, I don't know what I did, and they're like, I don't know either. Go away. I tried once, it didn't work. Any other questions? Oh, I hate when you guys get quiet. Makes me nervous.
You shared about the cowardly men earlier, and I seem to remember the story about the loyalist who proved himself.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You remembered.
Yeah.
Okay, so during the Revolution, you'll see most everybody west are mostly patriot. Because at this point in time, we're running our freedom. You might own land east of the Appalachians, but someone with more land, more money, more power can come in and go buy. This is now mine and can make you do whatever they want. So you see people moving further and further west, and they're more and more patriot. Well, after the war, you start seeing loyalists move west because back east, they're not exactly welcome. I wonder why. But so they're moving further west, not necessarily, they're telling everybody, but there's this great story of this guy who comes into a station and he's just known simply as the loyalist. That's all he's called. He has no name, nothing, and he's treated like a coward because he's the loyalist. Well, he's at the station and the station is under attack. So again, they slam the walls down, everybody's inside. Well, they happen to look out and see a group of kids still outside. And they're booking it as fast as they can to get in, and a couple of the little ones are falling behind. Well, this loyalist shoots out of the station, goes right and scoops them up, and runs back in. He shot, I think, 3 times that I can remember. After that, it was Mr. Jones. Because he had proved himself, and if you didn't call him Mr. Jones, your ears got boxed. Because one of the stories, the boy goes, yeah, I didn't call him Mr. Jones, I called him the loyalist, and my mom boxed my ears. He had proven himself to be more than a coward now. He was no longer the loyalist, but he was Mr. Jones. There are a couple other stories of loyalists that they were still just the loyalists, and they left, and we have no idea what happened, and we don't care either. It's like, okay, great. There was also a story of a gentleman who came west. He didn't have a gun, and I understood very quickly why. They decided to kid him out. He needs a gun. You're out here. You need to protect yourself. You need to hunt. You need to do all this stuff. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. They said the more he tried, the more they tried to teach him, the worse he got. So they just went, can we have this, please? He was a wood turner. So he was making bowls and trainware and cups and all this stuff. So what they did was they fed him, and he made them furniture and cups and plates and bowls, and they traded because they said it was much safer not to hand him a gun. I'm like, yeah, I know a couple of people like that. Every time they pick one up, I kind of do this wince. Because I don't know how many times you tell them, make sure the barrel points down. Some way it always manages to point at people. Any other questions or stories that I missed? Yes?
In your previous about the loyalist being Mr. Gibbs, what do you mean by cupping the ears?
So boxing ears
Sure,
is
fine.
taking your hands flat and basically smacking them.
Okay, yeah,
I've never had it done, but I've heard about it.
it hurts.
Any other questions? I mean, we can't always end early, but I'm also more than happy to keep talking, obviously. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you for coming. I am out there at somewhere called Shamrock and Thistle. If you end up having a question, I'm more than happy to talk out at my booth as well. And thank you for everything.